The Secret to Happiness, everybody, page 115. There are 3 words that convey the secret of the art of living, the secret of all success and happiness. One with life. Being one with life is being one with now, you say. You then realize that you don't live your life, but life lives you. Life is the dancer, and you are the dance. I have to tell you, I love this book, but I was like, gee, I thought life was the dance, and I was the dancer. And there are a lot of people on the web who are saying the same thing. Can you explain how life is the dancer and we are the dance? Why aren't we the dancer? We're the dancer.
You are not separate from life. So whatever any form...
Life is the dancer.
Life is dancing the dance of form, one could say. Every human being and everything that exists is part of the dance of life. That which moves you, the very consciousness that animates your being, that animates every cell of your body, that produces thoughts too. The very consciousness that you are is the one universal, the one life.
Okay.
And that permeates everything. So the entire universe is permeated by that consciousness, by life, which is another word for God.
God.
I don't see God as an entity that is in a particular place somewhere, but as the essence, the intelligence, the animating life essence behind all life forms. It's the eternal.
The totality.
Yes.
It's the totality. You see God. You're saying that God is, your idea of God is the totality of the essence of all life form.
Yes, and ultimately, you are not separate from that. It's the egoic mind that says, my life. The moment you say my life, you've already separated yourself from life. It's a thought. You have a thought to say, this is my life, and then you think, oh, I can lose my life. I am not separate from life because I am life. It's only through the structure of language that you create the illusion of separation.
I see
the
that.
dog still knows on a primordial level, the animal, the tree knows that it is one with life. So it doesn't have this fear of death, and it doesn't see itself as separate from the rest of the universe.
So let me ask you the big question. You have no fear of death?
No, no. The ego has dissolved, and so only the ego fears death. I know there is no death.
You know there is no death. Okay, tell me how.
I have a little thing at the end of this chapter.
I know, you say the incontrovertible proof of immortality. I read that and I went, okay, well, I read that.
I've done a little thing I did there. Usually when people talk about immortality, they use certain arguments, perhaps from physics. They say the energy is destroyed. Energy can only become transformed.
That's right, transformed.
So the vital energy that is your life, because energy cannot be destroyed, must survive in some form. That's often the argument for the survival of that life. There is no death, only the form dissolves.
That's right.
That's one way you can approach it. But what I thought I'll do, I'll look at the structure of this sentence of language that says, my life, or I have a life. Because most people believe that they have a life. And they also believe that they can lose their life. Now, if you look at that sentence and say, I can lose my life, then I am separate from life.
So there is no such thing as my life, you say at the end of this chapter, page 128.
Because I am life. I am not separate from life. I am an expression of the one life, a temporary expression in this form of the one timeless and formless life. So I don't have a life because I am life, expressing itself as this form.
Okay, so what happens when you 2 weeks ago talked about your mother and father lying in the casket, and you realized that the life force or formlessness that they were lying in the casket and there were these bodies, but they were not there.
Yes.
They were not there. So we're not our bodies. We do know that.
Yes.
Everybody who's reading this book knows we're not our bodies. We do get that.
Yes. And that's once you can actually sense that, not just as it's not just a belief. You can also see that you're not your body, even if you just approach it logically and see that when there's a dead body, then that being is not there anymore. There's only the flesh and the bones.
Right.
And when the being isn't there anymore, the flesh and the bones very quickly dissolve. When the animating presence isn't there anymore, all the atoms and molecules separate
Right.
and go their own way.
Right.
Because the animating presence is not there anymore.
Okay, so continuing here, so there's no such thing as my life, and I don't have a life. I am life. I and life are one. It cannot be otherwise. So how could I lose my life? How can I lose something that I don't have in the first place? How can I lose something that I am? It is impossible. So what is happening here is, I just got it, hello, 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 bing, 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 bing. I got it. We are confusing the I am life force with our bodies.
Yes, yes.
We're confusing that.
Yes, that's right, that's right.
So when this dies and becomes the shell and dissipates and the atoms go wherever they go, back into the ground, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we are confusing that which is the physical form, the human. We're confusing that with the being.
Yes, that's right.
And they are separate.
Yes. So another way, if you don't like the word life, you can say the universe. People believe that I am here and there's the rest of the universe. And they believe I have come into this universe. They don't know from where.
Yeah.
I've come into this universe. It would be more appropriate to feel that you have come out of this universe, because you are this universe experiencing itself very briefly.
As a human.
As a human.
As a human. I got that.
And so it wants to do that.
Ooh, I got that. I got that. I got that.
It's wonderful when you realize there's more to you than a person. You are the universe expressing
itself.
Yes, and experiencing
as a human.
As a human. And
called Eckhart.
Yes, for a little while.
For a little while.
And then it goes to other experiences.
And then where do we go, Eckhart? Could you tell us that?
Well, let's see what happens. When it happens. Otherwise, you take the fun out of it. You have to. I mean, if you knew the rest of your life, already the fun would be taken out of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, before we say goodbye.